Greetings, everyone. This is Karnak on Star Wars Armada Explained. Today I'm doing an interview with the 2019 World Champion Tokra. He's been kind enough to join me on the show, and I'm so excited to have him here and talk with him. I did meet him at Worlds. He's a fantastic person. Allow me to introduce. I believe your first name is Dennis. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Great. Could you tell us a little bit
That's
about
fine.
yourself, where you are, where you're from, and how you got into Star Wars Armada?
I'm from Germany, living between Berlin and Hanover in the north of Germany. And basically, my first contact with miniature games or with tabletop was with BattleTech. But because I'm a great fan of Star Wars, and I saw X-Wing at the game convention in Germany, I came into the FFG miniature game. And after they announced the Armada, the big battle game, I went for this one because I like big ships, like big battles. So it was the main reason for Armada for me.
That is amazing, and I just think that it's great that Star Wars can bring so many people from all over the world together. And I know
Yeah,
I was very happy to see so many people who traveled. I mean, I played someone from Poland. I played Daniel from Italy. He was both very polite, very fantastic. Can you describe a little bit about your experience at Worlds? What it was like being there?
yeah, it was as well a little bit too few Europeans, in my opinion. Like I wrote already on the article, it was 8 Europeans I saw at the World. That's quite few for a World Championship. But after all, the players were all great. I know a lot of the players already from previous Worlds or from the forums. So most likely it was a meeting of players who know each other already. And that's always really great to see them, to talk to them. I like this World.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I do wish that there was more opportunity for Star Wars Armada Championship to not just be in the United States, to kind of encourage travel. At the same time, I understand that's a lot of company cost for FFG that they are not quite willing to invest in. But I think that if this game was big enough and they had the big enough numbers of player base elsewhere in the world, I know I would love to have the encouragement myself to travel to other countries to play to play spaceships.
Yeah.
So
As a sad part with Armada is there are more than enough players who want to come, but limited seats are a problem. Like we saw with Armada World Championships, the 94 seats were sold out really fast, and it could be way more players that want to come, but they can't. That's a little bit sad for this part.
I absolutely agree with you. I know that their announcement this year for Worlds was super late, and then by the time people found out to buy tickets, they were all gone.
Yeah,
I mean, I was really lucky that I'm very active on the internet, and I mean, as soon as I heard about it, I got a ticket, and that's how I managed to sneak into Worlds, is how I say it. But obviously, Worlds
yeah,
is transitioning into an invite-only system where you can
yes.
only come if you win, very select championships. That they still haven't quite announced all the information for how that's going to work. I know they have done a little bit, but hopefully that they will have an equal opportunity for players from outside the U.S. and Canada to be able to come and have seats as well. But of course, we don't know the breakup of that quite yet.
Yeah, but there has a chance to come because every regional champion and each national champion had a seat. The problem is not having the seat. The problem is the tickets to fly over, and
Very
this
true.
will not be changed with a future World Championship.
That's very true, and it's a very good point. We can only hope that at some point we can see something different. For the worlds, again, you are the world championship, and one point I wanted to bring up was your fleet archetype is so interesting and so different. How did you develop this fleet? Where did this idea come from?
Most likely, I always liked squadron fights. That was my first list already. and also the Gozanti list with a lot of squadrons, and so it was always a base type of my list. But I noticed in the last tournament that the big ship in ISD or something is not going to work because the squadrons are too expensive. So I went back to an MSU list with small ships and with quite a lot of activations. And so I came up with a Sloane list, more or less again, because Sloane is, for squadron, she's the best admiral that you can use currently, in my opinion.
Right, because she's got that ability where, her squadrons can spend defense tokens, so that makes her great for in the squadron game, and also for when your squadrons are now going to go bomb ships. And I know when I first saw your list, my initial concern was, boy, he can strip the defense tokens off, but then how is he really going to follow up with any anti-ship damage? He doesn't have an ISD, but as you proved, you don't need a big wham attack from an ISD. You just need those multiple consistent rolls into a target. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. Most likely you can use a TIE fighter, the anti-squadron squadrons to use as well against ships. Normally you have to decide, are you using bombers or are you using anti-squadron? And with Sloane you can use the squadron for both. The biggest problem is, like I mentioned, that I cannot do this massive damage. So taking down an enemy ISD might not even work. So I have to focus on the small ships on the squadron fight. And that's the reason I didn't get a high win at all in the Worlds. I won with 9, 5 wins with 8. And it's hard to get a high win because you don't have the high damage anymore.
I still think that goes to show, though, because I know a lot on this Armada Discord, we talk about how you need a big damage. You need something that is going to either, table your opponent or go home kind of mentality. And I really think that it shows the genius of, like you had mentioned, you don't need the big wins to win big.
Depending on the tournament. The old World Championships, there's 2 days and 2 pools. You need high wins. You need 1 or 2 high wins to get in the cut. But if you have one pool with a lot of players, like we saw, it will even out sometimes. So you don't need the high wins. You just need wins.
That's correct.
With an average of 7 or 8 points.
Yeah, I totally forgot that how Worlds has been done for the people listening. So Worlds previously, it was 2 separate days with 2 separate cuts, and then it transitioned into elimination. This was the first year because the player base complained that we felt that was a little unfair and not an accurate way to represent fleets like Tokras that can win consistently rather than just needing to win big for 3 rounds and that's it. So I'm very happy they switched to this newer system. So about your game with Nathan Coda, did you also expect to face a list like his that didn't have any large ships for the finals?
Not really. After all the hype on the forum and everywhere, I was expecting to see quite a lot of 2-ship and large ship lists. So I was not expecting to see another MSU list in the cut, but my list was prepared for both parts, for 2-ship list and for MSU list, because I have 5 activations. So that was not the problem, but it's good to see that no big ships were in the final, because else they would have proven the points on the forum that big ships are overpowered right now. And so we proved them totally wrong.
Yes, I absolutely agree. That's why when I saw the top table and I saw what was getting set up, I was just so excited to see 2 lists. I mean, obviously, you both are masters, and there are going to be a lot of people that will look at your lists and be like, I don't understand how they won. Like with anything in Star Wars Armada, you need just a little bit of luck, but you need lots and lots and lots of practice and knowing your fleet inside and out. And I was just so happy to see such a game of high skill level between yourself and Nathan, especially if you go watch the World Finals, you'll see there right at the end that engine tech move that saved your Arquitens from being trapped. I mean, if we all could have been screaming and yelling and cheering and not disrupted your guys' concentration, I think we all would have been doing that.
It was a really close move because it was really tiny space, so Nathan did a really great job to block my Arquitens with the transport, or nearly block it, but there's always sometimes some space where you can't prevent them from going. So it was a really lucky move in this point for me.
Yeah, and like with they can go watch the game. I don't want. I know that you've already done a few interviews and talking to other people about it. And like I said, or I don't think I've said this actually. As we've talked about before we started the interview, you did an excellent write up. I'll be sure to post your write up in a channel link description before if you want to see all the inner workings and thoughts of Dennis. He's got it all laid out there in that forum post. To touch real quickly on the fleet archetypes and then to move forward, I did want to say I just think it's fantastic that we see something for both Rebels and Imperials that we've never seen before make it the top player. No Demolisher, no Yavaris. I know that both sides did bring essentially a lot of squadrons, and there are some concerns from the community that believe squadrons may be dragging the ultimate meta of this game down. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, like I always say, I think squadrons are must-have in a fleet, because if you see the last, or even all world championships, all were won by heavy squadron lists, or at least focused on squadron lists. So I think they are way too essential for the game right now. There are some lists without squadrons that are working as well, but in the main part, I think squadrons are too strong right now, or too important because they are too good. And squadrons like Stele don't help because he's one of the best anti-ship and anti-squadron units that's out there.
Yeah, I can definitely agree that this, because one thing with ships, they have such a high point value, even the small ones. I mean, you're looking at 30, 30 something for a hammerhead, but then you usually have upgrades. So usually when you are killing a ship, you're getting 40, 50 points for the small bases and moving on up. And then when you kill it, it's removed from the board. You've negated its presence compared to squadrons, which are split up into such smaller point increments. Even if you only remove one or two, you're not stopping the whole thing unless you have a plan of your own to counteract that. So I do agree with you. I think squadrons, they definitely need some fine tuning. I have a very strong belief that FFG understands, recognizes, and realizes that squadrons may be having a stronger impact than maybe they initially intended. And I do believe that at some point down the road that there will be some adjustments or potentially some more counters for those options.
Yeah. Like I wrote, I was playing against Christian in turn 3 on the first day, and he had a really great anti-squadron list. His whole fleet was made to fight against squadrons. But the problem is, I'm not sure how other games were, but I think the problem is if the opponent has no squadrons, he just wasted 40, 50, 60 points for this and has no use anymore. So it's really hard to find a middle between these. They need some upgrades that can work against squadrons and against ships, so you can use them always. Right now, it's a little bit difficult.
Yes, absolutely can concur. We've seen, as you mentioned, it's for most squadron lists, it's either a swing to none or a swing to you bring the maximum amount. It's really killed off what used to be medium squadron wings, but as we know, there's future expansions, there's futures cards coming out, and all we can hope is that this will shake and change things up. What are your thoughts about the future expansions and the future things that are announced? How do you feel like this is going to change the game?
It's at least it's great that they announced something after 1 year, and I hope they are bringing out quite a lot of new ships. If they are doing 2 new factions, they need at least some ships to get on even. But at least I hope they are also bringing out ships for the old factions, so they don't get left behind at all. So you can still use them. But I hope they will bring out some ships that will change at least the meta in some way.
Right, so the new Rebellion in the Rim expansion, I mean, we know that there are new squadron cards for the rogues and villains that are coming out with that, but there are also new titles for all the ships, new titles for all the ships currently in play, and there's going to be there's 12 new objective cards. I can't even begin to grasp how our meta is going to change with 12 new objectives.
Yeah, I think the objectives are the most important part, because right now there are just some missions or objective parts that don't work. So you have 2 good missions and 1 bad mission, so you're always playing this one because it's not fitting in the list. With 12 new objectives, it might be possible to fill the gap and get 3 good missions for your fleet, and that could change quite a lot.
I absolutely agree. Getting some objective variety in, because as we kind of can tell, some objectives are great for some fleet archetypes, but not great for anything that's not that. Like most, I mean, why does everyone take most wanted? Because almost everyone has a flotilla. And I know I would be excited to see something that just because you bring a flotilla doesn't mean you take most wanted. So I know I'm excited for that. I'm not excited, as everyone knows from my channel, I've been going through and explaining objectives and cards. Me personally, I'm not looking forward to explain all the new rules for all that, but it's going to be exciting and great. So,
Yeah.
do you have do you have any other points or anything else you'd like to bring up or talk about while you're here?
No, not right now. Not really. So most likely, I'm really excited for the new expansion. I'm really excited for the new cards. I hope they bring out some really great news in the next time, especially for the new ships they are planning. And I hope for some new mechanics.
I think we can all agree on that. Now that Worlds is completed, we've gotten a plethora of new news. I think Armada, it's kind of put a nail in the coffin of all the naysayers for us who've been kind of just holding on to hope. As Princess Leia would say, we finally been rewarded. I think Armada is going to move into a great place for in the future. Dennis, I really do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to conduct this interview with me.
Always welcome.
What's that?
Always welcome.
Oh, great.
Always a pleasure for me as well.
Sorry, it cut out a little bit there. But anyway, thank you so much. You're fantastic. I'll get this interview posted. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. To my viewers watching, please make sure to comment if there is any questions that you do have for Dennis. Post them in the comment sections of the video, and I'll make sure I pass them on so that way Dennis can respond back to them on YouTube, or he can see them himself. Thank you for joining me, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.